portion of this meeting today and approve the minutes with a motion, please, for the June 29th minutes.
I make a motion we approve the minutes from June 29th.
I'd second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And I make a motion we accept the payroll and manifests.
I'd second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right, that one's
We'll
already
start.
signed.
Signing and passing down, and we can have Chris maybe start
Chris.
chatting.
Hello,
Chris,
Chris
can you hear
Bird.
us? Can you hear us?
We can.
Oh, good. This is your show. You have 10 or 15 minutes to briefly bring us from 2018-ish, when we first started the conversation about the well on Holderness School area, to where we are today and the choices that we're facing and the issues that we're facing going forward.
Sure. So Dylan forwarded a document to Donna and Jason ahead of this meeting that kind of rolls out the finer details on how we got from where we are in where we were in 18 down to where we are currently. But the general gist of where we started was with Holderness Well being developed and then being brought over to a pump station on the Holderness Well, on the Holderness School site, and then being pushed into distribution from there. With sort of multiple iterations of design reviews and also a rule change with the manganese rule here. We looked at alternatives to say, okay, well, what do we need? What is the most effective option here? What's the best option for the district to best serve the public, most cost effective, and meet this new regulation that was placed upon the district from the state on the manganese side of things. So after multiple reviews and looking at how we can most effectively get that accomplished, that treatment perspective in particular, we landed on an alternative that ran the water from the new wells on Holderness school side of the river over and across to Foster Street side, so that those waters can be blended together to reduce the concentration of manganese to a level that's acceptable and meet the MCL regulations. So in the meantime, from 18 to 21, we ran through quite a bit of inflation, COVID, cost increases, all kinds of things. So as we reran that cost estimate, those costs have escalated accordingly. So what we can do briefly is just kind of show you what that, run you down through what that timeline looks like. But the basic gist of it is that there's a number of factors. The scope of the project has changed dramatically because that rule change from the initial to where it is now, and inflation, cost increases, and escalation is really taking a toll on the budget here. And so that's kind of the general gist of where we are in respect to our current budget. But the sort of moving forward, this project has been we put a pre-application together for a Holderness Well project on the emerging contaminants, drinking water SRF list, and that we'll hopefully know where we land on that list if that's getting funded. There's a significant amount of grant that's coming out of that. If that this portion of the project gets funded through that program, this should help reduce the burden of the cost on the ratepayers in the district. That information should be available late July, early August, and depending on how we fare there, and also if the district's interested in pursuing additional grant fundings, we can work towards submitting an application, a special application for this project through the Drinking Water Trust Fund.
We're always interested in free money.
Ditto.
Free money is seldom
hands
free.
wrapped around. We can't really. The step one is understanding where we land on the SRF list and
Right.
what that means from a financial perspective, and then we can go look for additional funds or request additional funds through the trust fund. So
Okay.
that's kind of the general gist of it. I think Dylan has a couple more specifics on the financial components, where we were from 2018 to how we got to where we are now.
Sure. Yeah, so back in 2018, like Chris said, the original cost estimate that got put together was very conceptual, as is pretty typical with an SRF application. From there, we progressed forward. We kicked off an actual preliminary design to move forward with that concept. And then as we get further along with the development of the booster pump station, the iron manganese rule came up. There became some issues with kind of discussion of the holderness contribution, the use of fire pumps. The hydraulics ended up showing that fire pumps were going to be quite large. And overall, the booster pump station started to kind of roll up into a higher cost than originally anticipated. And there's some other difficulties there. So we started looking at the alternatives to meet the iron and manganese requirements in the future, and provide the services to holderness that kind of were discussed, I guess, preliminarily for use of the property. So moving through that, that ended up turning into a design essentially where we had the 2 well stations, and then we go over the river. We use Foster Street for the treatment of that water, and then we're actually going to head back under the river again to connect on the holderness side. That was going to give redundant basically connections, and it was going to meet a requirement for holderness where they requested, basically, I think they were looking for better water for the ice rink and things like that. So along the way, the results of survey indicated that the topography where the generator was originally going to be located wasn't going to be suitable. It was a steep slope. We weren't going to be able to run conduit. So that resulted in a cost increase, relocating the generator to a flat spot off of 175. Additional cost increases, moving down the line here. Essentially, when we started getting into this and the blending, and we started looking at what Foster Street had for existing treatment, it kind of became clear that you needed to have a bit of an upgrade here for making your chemical feed system flow-based. So your current chemical feed system is more of a manual operation where you set one flow rate and then you set your chemicals to a certain rate, and then you kind of set it and forget it with some very simple on and off switches. When you go to a blending type operation, you're going to have to kind of match the chemical dosage with what well's on and what proportion that is to other wells. And that's kind of a safety issue as well, to make sure you don't overdose chemical if something's off the main switches. It's also going to facilitate in the future if you have to do repairs to the tank. We kind of discussed going to a pressure-based operation where, based on the pressure up near the tank, if we put a pressure sensor in, we'd be able to use the VFDs on the pumps to raise and lower kind of the supply in the system, rather than relying on that storage tank as a short-term operation. So that will also increase in costs. Another item during preliminary design was the alternative that was selected. We discussed the route with DOT as far as how we were going to cross underneath the river. Essentially, the conversations with DOT were, we submitted what our sketch was of, here's our proposed route, do you have any comments? And their responses back were essentially, we need more information, come up with a full alignment. DOT likes to see things developed to the point where you have a lot of the fine details before they tell you
No.
essentially yes or no. So they came back and told us no. So for the past probably a month or two, we went back and forth with them on some alternative routes here. So one of the alternative routes was to go further up 93 and then directional drill or jack and bore underneath the highway there to get over to Foster Street. That wasn't our preferred, that was their preferred. And that's, that was essentially a pretty significant cost, probably in the range of $500,000 or more to do that operation. We were able to at least convince them to entertain letting us open cut and install that pipe in front of the abutments. So that puts us actually directly underneath the bridge. We're going to have to sleeve the main there, but it does result in a pretty significant cost reduction going that route. There's still
Finally
some
going the right
design work to be
way.
done with that, but
Something that went well, that's,
Well, it's still
Yeah.
increased. Now, Delta is still increased.
yeah.
Just
Yeah,
metal
I-
and jack and bore.
Do I dare ask what the bottom line figure is
Yeah.
at the moment?
What's the fuzzy number?
What's the, oh God.
so it depends on what number you want. So there's I put some estimates
Worst
together.
Worst case scenario.
Oh.
Worst case scenario, so there's total project and there's construction. I've got the construction cost in front of me. It's about 4.3 million for construction. That's kind of what we're thinking right now.
And what was
And
our,
what was it
the-
before?
What was the original conceptual cost, just for comparison's sake?
The conceptual was 2.3,
Okay.
but the construction cost here,
I don't even know how to-
2.3 included a 30% contingency. This revised construction cost includes, the additions along the way, plus it includes a 20% contingency, and it includes, a 10% CA and observation kind of number in there to carry something for the engineering.
And that's reasonably reflective of current construction rates, we think, you think? Yes.
Yeah, it should be. There's not a lot of
That's $2
vertical
million,
work necessarily
yeah.
for this. Vertical work seems to be very, very variable. There is some in here. There's also some components like the generator and some electrical components that could be kind of wild cards depending on when they're available.
Right.
But pipeline in general, it's a lot of pipeline. And so far, costs on pipeline have been fairly reasonable to be able to follow. So I think we're fairly accurate.
Federal dollars.
Like the pipeline to the amount of vertical work here.
Mhm.
A little more. So,
Oh, okay.
We'll hold a few bake sales
A
to
nice graph on some of the
Yeah, no.
construction cost increases over the last,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's just horrible.
since 2021.
Keep finding money.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. And that's our intention. We'll continue to bird dog.
Yeah, I mean,
through
2
the-
million.
Going to trust fund and through SRF.
2 million over the original conceptual is, we did,
Yeah,
Like,
it's,
I don't even have words for that.
it's like we started with an apple and now we have an orange. It's-
No, you have a watermelon.
what'd the man say? A million here, a million there? Pretty soon it adds up.
So it's kind of what it is, but
Yeah.
absolutely, we'll continue to shape the bushes for the district and continue to hopefully put you in a position where this project is a go and it's not unaffordable to the district here. So.
Yeah, so that's the thing, we're working with a potential timeline too against
Right.
the manganese rule. So we're trying to move this along as quickly as possible. And the current projections right now are to get through preliminary design, get to final design by the end of this year, which will put us in a position to potentially bid it early next winter or early spring.
If we have
So-
money.
I mean,
Right.
Keep holding those bake sales.
at $4 million, like, how can the state push us on this? I mean,
Yeah.
that's an enormous amount of money to comply with. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, what percentage of this probably, is accommodating the manganese
state's
rule? I mean, is it like
Lovely thing.
$1 million or is it more? I mean, because that, the double, we got the double crossing.
Yeah,
of
so
the-
Well, it's the
hoping-
manganese rule and the crossing of the highway twice because of the manganese rule, right?
That's what we're hoping that'll rank us higher on the SRF, which may provide us a favorable ARPA offer under this new application, and that's what Chris was saying. Figure out where we stand after we get a response back from that, and then potentially go after additional funds with the trust fund again.
Okay.
Similar like we did to Highland Street.
All right. Well, like I said, keep finding free money.
Yeah,
Well,
like,
I mean, right now this project is funded at like a pretty significant.
50% grant right now.
Yeah, well, it's gonna have to be more than
trust
that.
fund.
Yeah.
And there's All right, is there any, no, there isn't any R&D dollars that are associated with this project right now. But if the trust fund, at least historically, is that it has had a little bit of a track record of, you know, where you have a project in the queue or with them, you know, if they'll entertain funding on a level percentage wise if costs escalate. And so, you know, there's an opportunity here or there's a potential here that they'll continue to fund that at a 50% project, and that's something that we can push for, depending on how it sits with the SRF, what we get for SRF dollars, and then we can go back to the trust fund and continue to push for additional dollars there.
Yeah, but that 50%, that still means we're on the hook for 100% of the original estimate.
Right.
Or more than the 100%. Wow. Yeah.
Craziness.
Okay. Well, we thank you for bringing us up to date.
Not really.
You didn't like your news, though.
Yeah.
We thank you, but.
So, any other questions on the project and whatnot? I think, you know, right now, really next step is you know, moving the design forward, so that we can continue to refine that estimate, continue to go after you know, dollars through the trust fund, the SRF, and other organizations if that's you know, possibility, and continue to move this project forward so that you can comply with the manganese rule, you know, because you know, it's beginning of this coming year is when that comes into effect.
Wells anyway.
We're gonna need a
Yeah,
vote.
the other thing to think about is the bid period you'll end up at.
Continue.
You know, if we can get into that early winter, early spring period, that's when a lot of bids are kind of received by contractors. If you end up in the summer months, it's not
Yes.
normally less favorable.
Right.
Okay.
So are there any other contaminants of concern that are on the horizon?
Oh,
I mean,
please don't ask.
Don't even ask.
Yeah,
You know.
no, there's lots of them, but
Like, what other metals can we possibly,
yeah, I don't know. At this stage of the game, I think that from a metals perspective, I think I don't foresee you know, iron coming into a regulatory standpoint or a primary regulatory standpoint. It'll continue to be a secondary, but I don't see iron being an issue. Arsenic's already regulated to where it is.
Sodium potentially.
Sodium, potentially down the line. But I think that one's a little less of on the hit list from DES's perspective. You know, they're wrestling with PFAS now, and you know, and EPA is really ramping up their
Right.
Yep.
Well, if it keeps
on their
going
side
the
of
way it
things.
is,
So
EPA won't be
that
able
seems
to
to be
regulate
the
that anyway.
contaminants of concern in particular for a lot of people. You know, thankfully, we don't have you know, PFAS in a level where it needs to get treated in many of the wells for Plymouth. Knock on wood.
I was gonna say, don't jinx us.
But it's
Well, we haven't been to
uh,
the health
it's-
health advisory level yet.
really for this for each of the sources, manganese is the contaminant we need to focus on. Make sure you're in compliance with.
Okay.
Alrighty.
Well, thank you again.
Yes.
Thank
Chris,
you.
Dylan, yes.
You're welcome. We'll catch up soon. Thank you for the time.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
We need a motion.
Yes, need a motion to authorize me to execute the expanded engineering
I make a motion
contract.
that we authorize Don to execute the expanded agreement with Wright Pierce, Chris Berg, and Dylan for the well
I'd second that
mess.
motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. I'm going to go working my way down the list. Release of lien for number 2 Wentworth Street.
So
Been
I
paid
was-
with property
it's
transaction?
Not quite paid yet. Although I have a promise that it's coming, it's closing on the 15th of July, and I'm talking with an attorney who's
Should
dealing
we
with the
sign this
sale.
Should we
before the
wait?
check is in hand?
We can sign it, I will hold
She'll
it
hold it.
until we get check in hand, and then it has to be filed with Grafton County Registry of Deeds, so we
Okay.
would not send it to them until we have the check and it
So
clears.
it's really a motion subject to.
All right, so yeah, motion,
Make a
motion
motion
please.
subject to receipt of funds to pay off the lien of 2 Wentworth Street.
I can agree with that.
I'd second that.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, right-of-way certificates. USDA, Water and Sewer District 4.
We can't do anything with this, right, because Christine needs to look at it.
No, she's got her own.
She has hers, and
This is
one that
just
you
indicating,
folks-
rural development wants to know that we're making our Main Street improvements within, and we have approval to operate within the right of way.
Oh, and the
And
answer
we
to that
do.
is yes?
Yes.
Okay, and so we have to sign this?
Yes.
Okay, I make a motion, we sign this
Oh,
right-of-way
sorry.
certificate for the Main Street project.
All right.
I'd second that.
thanks. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so,
Oh, that was
Yeah.
that. Here's the pretty graphs back. Is it just?
I think it's just Chris on that
Okay.
side. I have to get Barbara to come in and sign and seal.
Okay.
okay, so that's signed, all right. Administration items,
Wait.
or old business, sorry.
Where is the, we need clarification of the vote on Russell Street. Is that old business, or do you have it slotted somewhere else?
It's not on my agenda, but you can add it.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if you want to refer to the minutes.
Yeah, you remember the date on these?
Open your desk, 'cause that's what-
In any event, the board previously authorized proceeding with
Russell Street.
Russell Street. Funding application and design. You'll recall the conversation, we talked about the possibility of using district $600,000
Yes.
in
Right,
district's funds so that
So that
we
was
did.
early in the year, earlier in
Right.
this year.
April
Yeah.
5th meeting.
And
Thank
so
you.
we are now at the point where you need to authorize me to commit the $600,000 for Russell Street.
Okay, I make
Because
a
we
motion,
did-
we
the minutes
authorize.
don't reflect.
We didn't
We
type
agreed,
it,
but you
right.
didn't vote.
Oh,
You-
okay, I make a motion that we authorize Don to, commit the $600,000 for the Russell Street project.
And proceed with the
And
engineering
proceed with
services.
engineering services.
I'd second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 That was easy.
All right, so that's Russell Street. Any other old business?
Um,
Or administration
Do
items?
we have any other was there any other loose ends like that one that came up today? I don't think so.
No, I think that was it.
What was the document that I had to sign?
Oh,
Earlier.
that is here.
Yeah.
So Plaza and Sanderson,
Oh,
the
okay,
last
yeah.
one, Chris.
Yeah.
We authorized them to go ahead. They're working on the audit now, but
Yes.
we didn't do the full signatures to get the agreement back to them with your signature. So
All right, this is,
yours and Don's.
So we need to make a motion.
this is an understanding of the service, yeah, this is
The
an audit
audit.
scope and objective,
All
that's
right,
right,
so
right.
we need to have.
We need a signed document for rural development. Rural
Right.
development needs to know.
That's
we
how it
hired
came
an
up
auditor.
is,
That's
yeah,
how it
Right.
came
rural
up.
development
Okay,
needs a
so-
copy, but we hadn't fully
So
executed it.
we have the vote, you voted to
Do it, and you
Retain it.
vol-
enter in to the
Right.
agreement.
And you authorized the purchase order on it, we just didn't get the actual signature on the last page.
And
Okay,
we
so
need
you
that
need to sign it.
document
Yeah.
for the rural development more
Okay.
than the audit.
Yeah,
So is that a motion, or we already motioned?
Yeah, you, to,
Might as well do one.
All right,
Yeah.
I'll make a
Do it
motion
just
that
to
we
cover.
have Chris sign the Plastic and Sanderson audit agreement.
yeah.
I'd second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
to satisfy the rural.
Satisfy
development.
RD.
Aye. Okay. That would be 12, July.
Oh, this goes with the audit.
Yeah, yeah. Turn that over.
The next two items, Chris, I think we should probably table until Bob is here, because this came up when the auditors were here,
Yes.
that they want to make sure that there's signed documents that Bob is authorizing Heidi and I to do deposits and reconciliation
Okay.
in our positions, which our positions changed and Heidi's new, my position changed to business manager.
Yes.
But I think we should table it until Bob's here to make sure that Bob votes
He
that.
agrees.
Yes.
Right, okay.
So,
Fair,
yeah.
fair enough, okay, yes,
Yeah.
we shall, till the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, those are the two delegation
Yeah.
items there, yes. Superintendent report,
Sure.
step right up.
So the polymer pilot unit is, we had a few adjustments needed within the last week of that. And Fournier is coming back on site this week to help us do some troubleshooting. So we don't think we're getting the appropriate polymer dose in there. So we've been having to crank the press up really high to get the output that we're looking for. So they're coming to help us troubleshoot that. Other than that, the unit has been running consistently, no major issues or hiccups. So once we get through that, hopefully we can keep fine tuning and dialing it in. We met this morning with Wright Pierce, and we were just closing up a few loose ends, some of the documents that you signed tonight for the Main Street project. So we're still on track for going out to bid on that within the next few weeks,
Oh my gosh.
on or before August 1st.
Wow.
And we received a report that the town and their engineer are also essentially ready to go at this point in time.
Good.
So
That's awesome.
the stars are aligning for that.
Just knock on wood.
Careful what you wish for.
And so that I think even if we go out to bid earlier than anticipated, I believe the bid window will still be looking to open bids the middle of September.
Okay. Wow.
Is our goal.
For
Amazing.
construction next summer,
Correct.
Right.
Spring.
Yeah.
next
Spring.
spring, yeah.
Next
Yeah,
Yeah.
spring, yeah. And then the only other items on top of that were, speaking of PFAS, the EPA just recently came out at the beginning of July with new health advisory
Yep.
levels.
Yes.
And they're in
Seems like
the parts per quadrillion
Yes,
Really?
they're so small. It's
So
like
This is for
it's-
drinking water.
for drinking water.
Yeah.
And there
So-
isn't a test that can test to parts per quadrillion, right?
Correct.
From what I understand, there is no test
Yeah, so at this
that
point
can
in
do
time,
this.
most labs can see down to a reporting level of 2 parts per
Trillion.
and this is a whole order of magnitude lower than that.
It's
So we're
3 more zeros.
as we mentioned, we're fine and we're non-detect at this
Right.
point in time, but it's always
There's no test yet.
it's
So
always
that could be like one molecule that's just
Snuck in.
slips into a
Yeah.
sample bottle.
right. So fortunately, DES is not in the
So make sure all of the lab equipment, all the gloves, nothing has
Is
PFAS. You
contaminated,
know,
yeah.
you can't.
Right.
Just imagine.
So at this point in time, luckily DES is accepting that this is almost unreachable.
Oh,
So
good.
they haven't jumped in and are not in the position to adopt at this point in time.
I mean, I know it's nasty stuff, but you know, it's got to be reasonable. I mean, how can you test for something that almost isn't there, right?
Right.
Ask the guy who's inventing the test.
Yes.
So
Right.
that's one of the things that we're seeing is with this is it keeps going down. It's eventually probably going to be to zero. And
Right.
it's a matter of how low can we see? Right now, we have non-detect, but who knows if
Right.
they do get a new test method
Right.
and they can see to those levels, what the results will be.
Yeah, and then
So-
of course, the state of Maine
Craziness.
has stopped land application of
Yep.
sludge.
Yep.
Right, so there's
It's
additional
very,
measures
yeah,
from that as well in New Hampshire. And, that's something that we're watching closely.
yep,
Yeah, I'm sure
Yep.
Sheila is going ape.
With amusement.
yep.
Mm-hmm.
Who
All right.
would adopt a standard that's untestable?
Yeah,
EPA.
yeah.
Well, heck, they can't regulate anything at the moment. No, never mind.
Okay, so we are on to,
POs?
yeah, it looks like entering the previously agreed purchase orders into the record.
I
Need
make a motion. We enter the purchase orders assigned into the record.
I'd second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 I just had a couple of POs here recently, so nothing major, thankfully.
I'm all caught up, right?
Yep.
I'm all caught up.
We're all caught up.
Well, there were,
There
No,
was
two
two
I
today.
approved today.
yeah, that's right.
All right,
Two
I'll
that
check.
came across,
Yeah.
yeah.
I'll do that tomorrow morning.
All right, public comment, Mary Ann. Oh, we can't,
Well, I just have a question about the Holderness Well project, just so I can understand.
yes,
Is the main reason, and the most important, is for redundancy? Is that the main reason for this project?
One of.
One
and,
of?
and also the state has.
The state mandated it.
Well,
that
I'm not sure
we
they
had to-
mandated it, but
well,
they've
yeah,
been,
they
they've been
were
pressuring the
us.
district for years to
Have a.
reduce our reliance on the well field here in the situation that if there were a vehicle accident on the highway, it could contaminate our well field.
Gotcha,
So,
Yeah.
gotcha. No, that totally makes sense. We should have it. I don't know about the 4 million
yeah.
Well, that's crazy, you know.
as a customer, but I'll leave that part out for now.
Yeah, well, we're thinking about a bucket brigade here to just to tote water.
Yeah, so this has been a long-term search for a new water source in the district, going back all the way to the mid-1960s when the
60s.
highway was put in.
Yeah,
So we've searched up and down the Baker River Valley
right.
and
Yeah.
the Pemmy River Valley, and have sunk a ton of test wells in, which none of them really produced or the quality or quantity we were looking for up
Nope.
until most recently. We
Yeah.
found this site over on the Holderness side that has favorable quantity and quality, so it's better quality than we have at the current Foster Street site as well.
So that if it's better quality, will that mean it'll become our main source? Or is
Potentially.
it going together? How does that?
Yep, potentially, we would look to the Holderness side, so long as it maintains better quality as the primary source, and potentially blend with Foster Street when needed, in order to keep some of the, like we talked about, the emerging contaminants down. Manganese is one of them, and sodium, because of the highway being there, we have elevated levels of sodium in our drinking water.
Gotcha. Well, thank you.
Yep.
Is that it?
Well, that may be it. If there's no other comment, and
I make a motion, we adjourn.
okay, it's 6:07.
Woo!
Meeting is adjourned.
I'm going
Second.
to go celebrate my anniversary now.
All in favor? All
Congratulations.
opposed? No opposers. Okay, we're good.
You're becoming a member of the great many of us
The old
society.